Hello everybody, I'm B4 Brandos coming at you from B5 Brandos to discuss a new game I'm super interested in. This is a game called Displacement, and it's a first-person melee-focused survival horror game. Now, if you watch my main channel, you might be thinking, this sounds familiar, because we've talked about another game with this framework before, which was the Condemned series. Now, if you watch those videos, you'll know that the Condemned IP is pretty much done. The story is in a spot that I don't think anyone is eager to pick up, and unfortunately, Monolith Studios, the creators of Condemned, doesn't exist anymore. But when reaching these kinds of roadblocks when talking about a fantastic game idea, little things tend to spring up called spiritual successes. You know, just like how the absence of the Dead Space franchise gave birth to the Callisto Protocol, the absence of a Condemned type game has given way to Displacement. By the way, that's not a one-for-one example, because that's kind of saying that Displacement's going to be shit, which I don't think it is. Now, to give you a quick rundown, Displacement is a game about a psychologist named Arthur Bishop, who's been sent to a polar station named Rubicon, and he's here to assess the psychological state of the facility's personnel. However, upon arriving, he finds that the staff are a little bit past talking and have gone completely insane. And that's the long and short of it. We don't have a lot of information about the story, apart from the fact that there will be 3 different cults that have formed within Rubicon, but I think that even without that knowledge, the premise is more than intriguing enough. I mean, one of my favorite game genres is definitely being a random dude and ending up in a place full of insane people who want to kill you. So I'm a bit biased here, but I do have a list of gameplay selling points which might seal the deal for you. So to get started, this game is about violence and savagery. It's mostly up close and personal. So Obelisk, the developers, have put a lot of time into the combat systems, and they're promising a choice of up to 20 melee weapons. All of them work differently, and from what I can see, it seems to be taking a lot of inspiration from Condemned here. In that game, every weapon had its ups and downs, and depending on the fight, you needed to scout an appropriate weapon that had, say, a quick enough block or a high enough damage number to quickly thin out a group. Something really cool here, though, is that Displacement seems to be taking lessons from both Condemned games, and the fist gameplay is honestly looking really awesome. Condemned 2 had some pretty great fist fighting mechanics, and I think I was a little hard on it in my video just because the story was really not doing it for me. But it's really awesome seeing some of Condemned 2's best features get transferred over here, like especially the melee weapon throwing. It's so fun to just be like, I don't need this anymore, and just lobbing it at the nearest enemy's head. But this game also seems to be doing a little bit extra with the combat, almost mixing in a little bit of Far Cry 3's narrative elements when it came to the player killing stupid amounts of enemies. You know, in Far Cry 3, it was kind of an exploration of like, what happens to a game protagonist that does nothing but spend days and days on end gunning down enemies? You know, what exactly does that kind of violence do to you? And what's really awesome is that Displacement seems to be following up on that concept, because as we know, there's something loose in the Rubicon station that sent everyone over the deep end, and you're nothing special. Another listed feature is that Arthur will apparently slowly lose his mind throughout the game in a way that makes him more violent and effective in combat. Also, from the Steam page, it's looking like this is a game where choices are going to matter, and I think we might be seeing some sort of system where Arthur can sneak around and hide or engage in combat, which accelerates his mental deterioration. Apart from that, Obelisk says that the environment will play a big role in combat, allowing you to kick objects and turn everyday items into weapons, just like Condemned. Wow! Finally, let's talk about a pretty standout feature for me, which is the role temperature plays here. In the game, we'll get a cool gadget which lets you either heat up objects or freeze them, and this thing will play a huge role in the game, ranging from using it for puzzles to using it in combat or just general survival. For me, I think this could be the thing to really push the Condemned formula over the edge into something incredible. I mean, I'm getting portal gun vibes, gravity gun vibes. Having a tool in your arsenal that's versatile and fun to use can really change an experience from a simple puzzle game or an FPS game, or in this case, a brawler game, to almost a bit of a sandbox experience. I think it also shows that the devs have had a bit of a light bulb moment when designing this game, because it seems very specific. You know, the kind of mechanic you design a whole game around. Kind of like how Half-Life 2 is designed around its physics engine and they give you something to manipulate physics. I think Displacement is going to be built around this heat or cold system, and you'll be given this thing to play around with that. Honestly, honestly, it does fill me with a lot of hope. It's not often that you see a game come along with such an inspired idea, but when they do show up, I think it's worth having a look. Now, why am I making this video? I don't usually talk about new or unreleased games, but I wanted to try and bring this game to the attention of some kind of audience because it is in danger. For some background on its developers, Obelisk Studio is not usually in the driver's seat of a game under development. Normally, they are an outstanding unit for other game studios, which means they handle stuff like making 3D props, characters, environments. They're the people you call when you've got your hands full, but you need some top quality assets. Displacement, however, marks their first attempt at breaking into the industry themselves, and right now, they're in trouble. At the moment, Obelisk is nearing the completion of a vertical slice. This is essentially a process where you create a demo of what your game is going to be like, while also creating much of the content you'd need to finish the full thing. The benefits of this is that you can attract investors for your game, while also making it more appealing to people who usually wouldn't invest in your game, mostly because you already have a lot of the game's content done. You're not just investing in an idea, you're investing in a project that's well underway. Now, Obelisk is not owned by a big publisher, thank fuck. They don't have big money backing them. Their one investor is the Games Fund, which is an investment fund which supports promising game dev studios. Now, this is a double-edged sword, because on one hand, there's no one that owns them and is telling them what to do or how to make their game, but on the other hand, funds for the project are limited, and also the wider gaming community's exposure to the project is limited. In short, Obelisk needs to acquire more funding to continue development, and to do that, they need to bring on board more investors, and this is where you and I come in. Displacement, above all, needs exposure, but Obelisk is asking for our help, and if you love video games or love the look of this game, this is your chance to have a real impact, and you can do that by doing stuff like wishlisting it, sharing a post about it on social media, or if you're a YouTuber and you're watching this, making your own video on it. So if you want to help these guys out, do one of those things. It might take 2 minutes out of your day, but what seems to be a small and relatively useless gesture to you could be the difference between this game coming out or not. And I would say that the more video games there are in the world, the better. So yeah, I think this game deserves to come out, and I really want to play it. It looks like an experience that I've been missing for a long time, and I think that Obelisk has a really interesting vision here. It feels like a mishmash of Condemned and BioShock, The Thing, and Lovecraftian stuff all shoved into one package. I want it! So get it on Steam right now and wishlist this shit. I'm not even asking anymore. Also, leave a like and comment on this video so that it can reach more people and this game gets a better chance of coming out. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I've been having some ideas on how to handle my second channel over the last few weeks, and I feel like it might make for a really great platform to review newer games as well as talk about things I want to talk about in a less scripted format. I even think that this might be a good place to drop trailer breakdowns going forwards. You know, B5 Brandos gives me a chance to quickly put out something that I feel needs to be said without compromising the usual level of quality I have on the main channel. So yeah, I think this might be what I'll do going forwards. Who knows? Anyways, have a good one. See ya!